As you know, part of tonight is a transition from Bama, an amazing executive director, to Jean. Jean, this is your moment. You got to come up here. Judy. I just met her. Judy Gerhardt. And she comes to us from years of doing global justice work, including the fight for fair trade agreements and amazing work she's done in Mexico. And again, I want to welcome everybody here and now turn the program over to Judy Gerhardt, our new director. Let's give her a warm welcome. Yay, Judy.
That was great. All right, so this is my first baptism by fire in Washington, and I've already learned that you can't predict any of this stuff. Our order of events is flip-flopped, and our scheduling for the evening is flip-flopped, but I hope you're all having fun. Oh, yeah. That said, thank you for coming. I mean, really, from the bottom of our hearts, thank you for coming. It's really tremendous and great to see so many labor rights advocates together in a room and coming out to support our honorees tonight. So tonight we're honoring 3 organizations and 1 individual. Secretary Solis has already inspired you with her stories. The Bangladesh Center for Worker Solidarity, the United Steelworkers, and the American Federation of Teachers are also our honorees tonight. And I want to thank them for participating and sharing their stories and for inspiring us, and I'm sure they will, because we've been listening to them and working with them over these weeks, and they really are great organizations. Today, is the 3rd anniversary of a worker protest that turned bloody in Egypt, in the city of El Mahala El Kubra. It was textile workers, poignantly enough, who stood up for change. And those textile workers organized a strike, and when the strike was ended at their factory, they went and they gathered in the city square. And that rally in the city square ended up in a clash with police. 100 workers injured and 2 died. It took 3 years to organize the April 6th movement. And how many of us watched with bated breath as the people in Tahrir Square and the April 6th movement took hold in Egypt and brought about, probably definitively, the most significant democratic changes in their country, in their modern history. And it came from workers, it came from textile workers. What's been great is that as the demonstrations in Wisconsin have been ongoing, we got to see posters, we got to see Wisconsinites drawing on the strength of the Egyptians. There were posters of Wisconsinites marching around with placards that said, "Organize like an Egyptian." And you can go to the AFL website, and you can see solidarity, you can see little YouTube videos posted of solidarity messages coming from Egyptian trade union leaders. It's just been this tremendous moment. And the exchange of solidarity, it really shows how inextricably linked we are, how inextricably linked workers' rights are around the world. And it shows us again that the struggle of workers is the struggle of all citizens who want democracy. Because it's about participation both in our government and in our workplaces. They go together. I believe we're entering a new era. We've been pushing for this for a while, but I think the moment is really right for this to take hold. Where international labor rights campaigns will be that much stronger because they're built on solidarity, not just from north to south, but from south to north as well. During during the past 2 weeks, we've told and we've retold the story of the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory fire. And we've tried to figure out, what did our ancestors do to build opportunities out of such a tremendous tragedy? The answer, they organized. That's really the answer. And as a result of that organizing, there was a sea change in this country as to how people viewed workers. It was a dramatic shift over the next decades. And our friends from Bangladesh, as they've toured the US in these past couple weeks, the Bangladesh Center for Worker Solidarity has participated in a tour hosted by the USCW these past couple weeks. And as they've talked across America about the challenges they face, and the challenges they face are significant. We're talking an average of 100 deaths by factory fire per year over the past 5 years. We're talking about leaders who lead protests for better wages who are beaten and jailed. And as they've talked about that, it's clear that the inability of workers to organize and have a voice through collective bargaining is hobbling sustainable solutions in Bangladesh. And the timing of their trip has been tremendous, because they're telling stories about workers who have no voice, workers who paid the ultimate price. And it's not only motivated greater solidarity with their plight, but it's also really hit home, close to home, with Americans who are worried about losing social protections and their rights to collective bargaining. So I think it was motivating for both sides. The importance of working on labor rights at home and abroad has increasing resonance for ILRF. And that's why we're now pairing with the Sweat-Free Communities campaign to work on improving government procurement responsibilities so that they're using those taxpayer dollars to buy more responsibly, to make sure that the uniforms they buy for government workers aren't produced in sweatshops. That's a tremendous campaign that connects us with U.S. communities around the country, and that will, again, enable us to strengthen our interface with Americans and to build grassroots campaigns in the U.S. and partner those campaigns with grassroots partners around the world that we work with. We need Americans to support labor rights abroad, but we also need our friends abroad to support labor rights in America. As the International Labor Rights Forum, we're looking at the vulnerability of workers everywhere, home and abroad. But where we really need help is to connect this agenda to more people and to have them understand that attacks on worker rights anywhere will undermine the very foundations of democracy everywhere. Thank you. So on a night like this, the thank you here in my notes is really just the beginning of my thank yous. I have to thank a lot of people. Really, to each and every one of you here and our allies that supported this event, thank you very much. It's really important right now for us to be able to keep the International Labor Rights Forum strong, for us to be able to work on an agenda that's broad-reaching and responsive to our worker allies around the world and in this country. Before I turn this over to our next presenter, I want to make sure I thank the key people. ILRF staff and board did a tremendous amount of work to pull this party together. It's just incredible. There are really, and we're going to call out a lot of names over the course of the night, but there are two people I have to shout out, and that's Trina Toko. All right. And Danielle Tipton. I also want to thank our really big sponsors for the evening. The American Federation of Teachers, Communication Workers of America, thank you very much. The International Association of Machinists, the Laborers International Union, LIUNA. Limited Brands, the Sheet Metal Workers International Association, Unite Here, United UFCW, and the United Mine Workers America. So now I need to find who's my next. Where's my lineup? Mark, there you are. You're behind the flowers. So we asked Mark to come and present the honor to the Bangladesh Center for Worker Solidarity. Mark's a longtime friend of mine, and I want to thank you as the representative of Workers United SEIU for coming, given your long history with the garment workers.